guess since, you know, I'm just doing this to tinker around with streaming, etc. In this session, I suppose the next logical goal, aside from just progressing through the game, is to try and get some claws that aren't useless. And since I'm opting for currently, can't remember if I missed the large ember or just don't have it. So let's just go find out, because I'm going to be running around a lot. See, that's not so bad. I can one hit kill these guys at least. So far from listening in on the stream, the dropping and picking up pretty badly. But that probably has to do with my internet connection. Not too much I can do about that. Beautiful. Let's see, did I? Let's see how you like getting bleeded on. Just get right out of here. It's okay, I picked up the large ember, good to know. Anybody following me? Can anyone follow me? Alright then. Well, that's me trying to leave the depths by the way I came in. So I have 2 plus 5 and like one large titanite shard. So I suppose what that means is to go quickest to plus 10, I'm probably going to want to be able to farm. And to be able to farm, I'm going to need access to here and the golden serpent ring. And to have that, I need to have killed the gargoyles, which memory says that I did before. I don't think that with 6 plus 5 claws I'm going to stand that big a chance against gaping dragons, so why don't I just run through the normal way, upgrade what I can. Hey, enemies aren't here now. Yay. Well, see, it's not so bad being over here. Ow, 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 yep, got hit again, too. But it was little. Ah, whoa. Yeah, we'll be taking a lot of little hits, which in the extremely hot, warm weather, and not really remembering what I'm doing here, not the best combination ever, but we'll get there. Good, 2 hits, not so bad. Oh, these guys are pretty scary considering not a lot of toys. Not playing so great, again, showing my strength at this game, but it is what it is. Okay, that's all of them. Got my amazing 2,900 souls. So yeah, I don't know how Cog is on the lead. I'm trying to think if there's any good shortcuts for a large titanite, I think, other than just regular farming them. Which might be worth it. Regular farming them from the...
Are you playing?
Oh, hey guys. Yeah, I'll leave this alone for now. But yeah, regular farming them from the leeches in Light Town. I don't really know of any good way to get them. At least not early game, that is. So yeah, it's like I've just resigned to that option. Hey, one hit kills rats, that's nice. One hit kill these guys also nice. Whoa. Calm down there. Oh, he fell to his death. Poor guy. Oh well. Hey. Except I'm never gonna use those clothes, but that's fine. See, now that's satisfying. So, I suppose I should rest at this bonfire. I'm still human now. Is it worth going? I mean, I'm just going to be taking hits all over the place from the little guys. Yeah. I only have the one large. Okay. That's painful. Well, yep, I think this is how it's gotta go, because the claws limit the applicability, so I could just tank it. Hey everybody, how you doing? Yeah, I'm just gonna upgrade the one, because it's worth walking all the way back for that. And yeah, get that to +6. Then I'll just see how Quellic feels, and if I can go ahead and get her quick, then I'll be able to farm large Titanite, get up to 2+10s, and maybe be able to really start going after this game, because 2+5 is still not really high enough damage to... See, that slash is fun, but not always what I'm going to be doing, so I don't think it'll be too bad missing out on that, and I don't have... Yep. But yeah, when I said it was worth working back, it really is worth walking back with this option. But yeah, I guess right now I'm going to hope to play for about, I don't know, 2 hours, 2 hours, although it is really hot in here, and I've turned off the AC, because I assume that will make the mic incomprehensible. Let's see, yes, that is a fine ember, isn't it? Enjoy. Let's make sure it's the right one, but it doesn't really matter. I won't get myself killed, thanks. +6/+5, cool. Okay. So yay, my right hand claw's a tiny bit stronger, yay. But yeah, I can't really run the AC right now, since that'll probably just be super loud. So if I can make it several hours with this heat, then so be it, and if not, then that'll end what it is. But my goal would be, ideally, at least since I can, from what I understand, get that gargoyle helm just by dipping in on Orlando, the goal will be now to kill Quelog, get Golden Serpent Ring, get to the top of Sin's Fortress, and get me that gargoyle helm. So I'd like to end this session with 2+10 claws, or at least all the pieces necessary to get it. Yeah, that on it. But yeah, 2+10 claws is really what I... well, killing Quelog. Killing Quelog would be a nice place to end it, because then I can... Getting through Sin's Fortress, even with weak weapons, is not that bad. You can push things off pretty much everywhere. So yeah, let's see what happens here. Gotta get down. Now I remember, I was human in the depths because I was gonna go get... go fight Night Loudtrick. Or not Night Loudtrick. Knight of Thorns, good old Kirk. And I forgot to do that. Don't think it'll mess it up if the first time I go through there is human. I think that's the trigger, as long as I'm human, even if I, you know, very likely will die and then come back. I'll make sure I'm human the first time I cross over to that region. But, yeah. And actually, I guess, I normally never do this, but if I recall, for a stupidly expensive price, that Crestfallen Merchant, or whatever his name is, the one with the steel armor set at the top of Sin's Fortress, I think he sells large Titanite. And I guess what my goal is, it's either 18 or 20, I forget again how the one to convert it factors in, but I'm just going to go with it takes 9 So I'll need 18. They drop occasionally down to here. I'm gonna do one round of trying to kill the leeches right now, just to see if I get lucky. How are you guys? How is fighting you guys? At least I can get it before my stamina meter's gone. That's good enough. But yeah, so I'm just gonna come down here, try the leeches once, kill Maneater Mildred, and then, unless that's very successful, and by very successful I mean 2, like I can get 2 large Titanite shards dropped from leeches, then that makes me question whether it's valid just to keep trying, because 2 at a time after a few is not that much grinding to get what I want. But yeah, I'll do it. Grinding is an interesting concept in a game. Like, I guess one thing is that I DM, or GM, however you want to phrase it, but lead sort of tabletop games, and there's definitely some similarities, obviously, between these kinds of RPGs and those kinds of RPGs. And something I always try to do, both in sort of systems I develop and games that I run, is it's like, I get that as an industry, so if I'm sitting there and I'm like, I want to create a system in which I can charge people money to keep playing. I mean, role-playing games are horrible for that, because it's like your imagination is the only limitation. I guess I've killed Mildred. Okay. But yeah, that it just, to me, it's like when you're a player and your engagement is both playing the game and thinking about the game, but thinking about the game isn't creating worlds and systems like Game Master is, it's thinking about what could I do. In that sense, it actually is really exciting to have a bunch of books with a bunch of possibilities. Oh, there we go. Okay, guess she joins now. After these guys. Alright, this is going to be a pain. Sure, come on, Mildred. But yeah, it's like sort of, as a player, it's like you can, it can get really exciting. Oh crap. It can get really exciting to be like, ooh, I want to do this next time I play. I want to do, I really want to build towards this. I want to make my character get towards this cool option that I read in some obscure book. Can I, yeah, no. So it's just about being placed properly. Wonderful. But yeah, that it's like, okay, you can get all those books, and it's fun to dream, it's fun to fantasize, it's fun even when you're not playing to think, well, what can I do? What can I build towards? And can give real purpose, and having that, here's the book, and this is your class, and your class has these benefits after these levels. It's, it gives us a direction, a really externalized, but a really concrete direction to what you're doing. Like, you're building towards something. What's that something? Well, that's the part where I go the other way. It's like, I get that if you want to give the players something to do when they're not playing, that's nice. You've given them something to think about. But why wouldn't you just start the game with all those levels? I mean, and certainly you can make that excuse. Like, players can start at any level, right? So why not let players start at any class? Or you pick it for the story, and that's how it goes. And I get that, like, well, okay, great. Just because you can start at any level doesn't mean you want to limit yourself and not have the opportunity to work through earning them. Perfect sense. Okay, great. So you're designing a role-playing game, and you think of these classes, and so you want to separate out, like, different play styles, different things that can be done in the system. And you strike that across a bunch of different abilities. This is bad. Sorry, getting quiet when I'm focusing, as before. But yeah, it's like you come up with these classes, and then it's like, so why split them across all these levels? Okay, and sometimes it might make sense. It might be like you have, you know, several different tiers, or like in D&D 5, for, you know, Edition 5, where it's like, oh, there's basically, you know, 4 kind of tiers of power that the party lives at, and that's where you can tell stories of different scope and scale. It's like, that's useful. But why aren't there 4 levels? Why are there 20 levels? It's like, okay, well, you know, we've got 4 tiers, so then we'll split that across to subsections. Okay, so far I've picked up 1, and I've got 5 left. So it looks like this is not going to be worth it, especially since, I need to pick up another one right now to get +1, and then the other +2, I think. But I'd have to go all the way back to Andre to get the other one upgraded, so still worth it right now. But yeah, so splitting up splitting up a class into a level, which is really defining, you know, how a game will progress, like what levels there are in a game, is really arbitrary, and that's not a disadvantage in and of itself. You know, people can arbitrarily make things that'll be fun. That's part of what, in theory, you're paying for, right? Is that they've thought about it and they've put it together in a gamey way where it's engaging and exciting to go through that whole process. Versus, a lot of times what I do in the games is just sort of like, alright, well, kind of like in Dark Souls, you've got the things that you want your character to do, and you can very directly, you know, communicate with the game master, like, I want this now. I want my character to move towards being able to do this. So why not just directly do that? I mean, I've developed my own role-playing system and used that for a while. I haven't DM'd too many games, but mostly the same player. Oh, actually, no, not really mostly the same players. Just a lot of sort of starting sessions, having players go, oh, that was fun, and then sort of moving on, because that seems to be what the typical, like, in and out. You have like a core group of friends that over the years you'll play lots of different characters and campaigns with, and then others who you'll try, and nothing really sticks. I don't really take it as like proof that my system works or proof that my system sucks. It's just kind of like, all right, I've tested it with some people and it works well enough. And in that system, sorry, I shouldn't have prepared that. Let's see. So that takes 1, and yes, I need 2 to go even higher. And I've got 15,000. Okay, 2020, what happens? How fast is it? 4 points, 3 points. Well, hey, I'm here. Should I or should I fight her one-on-one? 'Tis the question. Well, these people are cool. I'm gonna see what it's like one-on-one. This is... yeah, I should kindle that. But yeah, so yeah, why not just build a system where it's like you get to have the things directly where you have them? And now I'm forgetting even why I got onto this idea of like role-playing systems and how they split levels up and what the point of that was. But oh yeah, and by no, let's go straight up. No, one-on-one. I don't think so. Should I? Well, no one's here to tell me otherwise, and it's Kellogg, and she's kind of my gateway to having real weapons, and there's a such thing as New Game Plus, so yeah, I'm gonna get Manny to Mildred instead of another human player, because the odds of one of those human players just being able to take Kellogg by herself is fairly high, I'm guessing. I've got 3, is it worth it? Nah, it's fine, I've got 10. But yeah, so like, why build a system that has all these sort of incremental stages and that sort of forces you to go through this stuff? And aside from that, to me it adds in all these complexities. It's like if there was fewer tiers, I don't know. It's just like when you're balancing stuff, there's still stuff, no matter how which is fine. It's just a very difficult task to develop and balance a game and keep it fair and keep it reasonable. But yeah, why start yourself at a point where like you've got you know, this very linear perspective. It's like, okay, well, I want to play a druid, and that doesn't mean like a shaman, that doesn't mean like a druid, it doesn't even mean like the diversity of druid creature types you see in Magic the Gathering. It's like, no, it's druid means shapeshifts into animals along with these other spells. Why? Well, that's what it's meant in D&D. Okay. How many of those options are there? 20. And again, D&D 5.0 does this nice thing where it's like prestige classes and extra classes all kind of collapse into this idea of specializations, which happen later. That's a great compromise for what the system was before. Oh crap, already. But yeah, great compromise to what it was before. Yeah, it's going to be hard to keep talking about this while I'm fighting Cog, but that's fine. I'm still going to do it. Hey, how am I doing? Oh, okay. This is not going so bad. How's the bleeding? Is the bleeding actually helping or no? How's it going? Oh, no. Okay, good. Just a little one. Yeah, okay, good. Man, she needs to stop doing that lava. Oh, she keeps jumping around. Let's see, I suppose Mildred's over there. Just stepping in the lava. On. No, don't slash me. Oh, come on, and Manny killed her? Well, it is what it is. So yeah, alright, cool. Quellarg done. I don't even have silver, right? Yes, that's fine. That's fine. Souls are souls. So I'm not even gonna bother going downstairs here. I'm just gonna come and activate this because I'm still a human, and I like that because I don't have that much humidity. So if I need to maximize item drop to really get those claws done, then, you know, might hold on to this. Who knows? Cool. Well, it's first try too. Well, with Manny or Mildred, so judge how you will. And 40, level 30. Okay, whatever. But yeah. Why was I talking about leveling up? Leveling up in games, in RPGs, in systems. Forget exactly where it was I started at, but the idea sort of came out of this thought where I was looking at it, where I was like, why does a game... Grinding, that's it, grinding. Because it's like, why would you ever have grinding in a tabletop RPG? Right, like the distinction between a tabletop RPG and something like this, like a full video game, or like what I might call like an automated RPG, right, is that like, well, you don't need to have more people to play it. You can generalize and solidify the system fully to an algorithm, right? It's automated. Any single one player can play it. Okay, great. But as a gameplay element, it's sort of like you have all these things you want people to get to and get to see and get to experience. Hey, Shiva's still down here. That's right, that's why I came down here before. But yeah, it's like you can just do that to extend the length of your game artificially, right? You have a set of content, and you can put that on, you know, on a network. It doesn't need to be a linear trajectory. It can be an open world. It can be however you want. How's it going up? 2 at a time. 3 more. 2 more. Yeah, fine. I'll get it. That just damage is nice. I think probably focus on health soon enough and endurance. Back again. But yeah, so you can, in a video game, it's like grinding. What's grinding? Well, let's go the other way. I started talking a bunch about tabletops, so let's finish talking about tabletops. So in tabletops, like, why would you have grinding? The idea is that there's content there. It's like grinding is a purely artificial construction out of this desire to have it feel earned that you do something. In a fiction, and again, the reason I seem judgmental or like have a strong opinion about that is because it's like, yes, you're trying to simulate the challenge or the meaningfulness of a challenge in the context of a game where like literally one of the players has to just arbitrate about random stuff, and that includes things as much as like, oh, well, it just turns out that this one guy you encounter in this adventure can do a bunch of stuff with magic that your characters can't. Like, magic means something completely different to the author and the game master than it does to the players, because it has to, because you can't let the players just have full autonomy to create everything in the world like that, right? Like, in a tabletop RPG, it's like the rules are the contract between, or not contract, but the guidelines that negotiate how players interact. And it's not just player to player as by the terminology, but also includes the player that is the GM. So it's kind of like saying, hey, we're going to participate together to make the story. And we're going to do it in this constraint, right? Which can be fun. It's this imagination exercise. But really, we could just each grab a pencil and a piece of paper and, like, have a bunch of different ways of creating stories. There's no reason creating a story has to look like that. Or that looking like that as like this weird simulation game, which it is in a lot of ways, has to just be for making a story. I mean, it can be for by itself, but that's where, to me, a lot of it falls through. It's like the construction of that system is inherently dependent on people, and not just for playing it, but like it really doesn't make much sense without it. Like it's there a set of tools. The rules are a set of tools for you to experience. Hey, playing this game, and playing this game really means generating this story. Yeah, you could play the game, and this is why, like, when they have tried this before, you know, hey, there's enough rules here to make like a war game. We can just make like this board game with miniatures. You can use D&D rules for combat. It's gonna be so much fun. There's a market there, but like I tried playing a few times and it just felt like, whoa, this is a lot of stuff to keep track of. Just for like, I'd rather, if I'm gonna keep track of this stuff, I want a reward. I want, like, it's better if I'm invested in that character as a stat set. It's better if I'm invested in sort of progressing that and holding on to that and recording that to do it. Because this is, I think people who've played tabletops know what it's like when you lose interest in a character, you lose interest to a story, and you kind of sit there and it's like, well, I did, and yeah, that's all there, but like, do I care? Like, I know I put a lot of effort in building this, but sunk cost fallacy is not making me say I really want to see where this is going, because I don't necessarily know it's going anywhere, or know it's going anywhere I'll care about. So, you know, let's try something new. You know, it's a fantasy game I want to explore. Let's explore something else. So, what other people think? So in that setting, it's like, why would you ever be playing just to progress something? Like, it's one thing if, you know, you're building a pyramid, right? Like, you're like brick by brick. Our characters want to be kings and queens, and then, you know, we do some exploration. The GM tells us to do that. We need to, you know, get in good with this noble. So to get in good with this noble, he says he needs help with this thing. So we do that thing. Like, that makes sense. I mean, yes, you're building these up, but it's not grinding. It's not like, oh, well, to be king and queen, you gotta have the leadership feat, and have the leadership feat, you gotta be 6th level. So let's not even bother talking about this stuff until you're 6th level. Sound good, team? Yep, makes perfect sense to us, GM. Yeah, let's go. Grind until we're 6th level. Let's not give a crap at all about any of the story, about anything that's going on. Just gonna play this game and go through this invest this time, because later we want to be level 6. Versus, like, you could just say, alright, well, if that's how I'm gonna do it, then maybe you guys just are level 6. Like, here, I had some ideas about some cool stuff that can happen. Let's just write that as a story right now. And that story is the backstory for playing this game. No reason you can't do that. I've had that happen before as a player and as a GM, where it's just like, yeah, it made kind of sense to hop people up a little bit. And that was all a consequence of the rules system that was being used. And the way that the rules system sort of made these requirements of like, okay, well, you can't do this thing until you're at this level. Why? Just you can't. Again, I mean, D&D 5e, from what I've read through and experienced, and it's a lot better. The example I used to always give, because I played a lot of 3 and 3.5 D&D, was like, someone wants to make a level 1 character who's a mage, and the mage is just a fire mage, just a pyromancer. Alright, well, you can do a cone of fire. No, I want to shoot like a fireball. You can't. Fireball is a higher level spell. Okay, well, fine. Can I have like a weaker version of that? Well, it's not really a weaker version of that, or, you know, again, in 3.5 it was like, find the book that had the thing you wanted, because there's sure somewhere there was a level 1 fire blast spell. But yeah, you got that, and it's like, alright, well, yes, if you have this giant pile of books, you can find the one that has that spell, maybe. But that's not really what I was going for. Like, could I just have a weaker version of the explosion? Well, DM's like, I don't have infinite time to go through everything and find, you know, scale down this fireball, and, you know, which again, I'm surprised there weren't clearer rules about that. And part of that had to do with the fact that it was like, you could feel that the oh, great. Alright, well, I just killed that character. That's what happens. Oh, well, Fred, I care more. Since I'm grinding, I really do. I'm getting more engaged with telling these opinions and talking about RPG systems than I am about going through Sin's Fortress just so I can get this one thing. But what ifs. But yeah, I'm surprised there weren't clear rules in a lot of the versions of D&D about like how you hop and scale up and scale down spells. But when you look at it, it's like, it makes perfect sense. It's because everything's exponential-ish. It's like, it's this sort of punctuated exponential, which makes perfect sense. It's like you want things to feel different between the tiers. Like, it's not just, oh, well, now you've got a new +1. It's like, no, you jumped up +4 this time, or you know, you went from 3d6 to 5d6 or 6d6. It wasn't just +1d6. Haha. But yeah, like, it should have been very clear thing to scale up and scale down spells, and if you had, then I think there'd be a lot more modularity built into the rules, but there wasn't, so it is what it is. But yeah, something that always bugged me about those rule systems, and again, that's part of why, as you may imagine, in a system that I would develop, or that I have developed, it's like, nope, smaller number values and the incremental increases are all meaningful, and that's the whole point. Like, you'll feel the difference between a +1 and a +2. A lot of that also has to do with the D20 system, which is, I guess, well, I'll finish talking about grinding, and then I can talk about randomization systems. But, grinding, yeah, so it's to me, in a story-driven game, it's like, unless you really want the point to be it feels earned, and the idea is that earning it, as that manifests itself in the story, as the author intends to tell, is all about endurance. It's not, I mean, again, you can, as it turns out, a lot of these games end up being about cunning, but it's meta-cunning. It's not like, oh, the character was cunning and found something. It's like, no, the player was cunning and figured out how to game the system to grind in an efficient way. Like, how common is it that you find that, you know, a game comes out and this is like, oh, this is the most efficient way to grind, or here's a way to cheese it, here's a loophole that's, you know, broken. That's cunning, but it's meta-cunning. And it doesn't, it's not like, oh yeah, like this is all about the character in this story doing these things. And I think actually a lot of ways now I'm sitting here playing Dark Souls, like Dark Souls, one of the things that's so great about it is that it clearly does distinguish between player expertise, player knowledge, and character. It's like you can grind up a crazy powerful character, but if you don't know how to use the character in the system, it's really never going to be that good. Alright, let's do this without a shield. Yeah. Oh, no. But yeah, so it's like I get why you want to put level barriers in your video games. I get it. Oh, you want stuff to not be open right at the beginning of the game. You want to kind of railroad. I mean, it's a way of railroading. You want to keep people in the confines where they're supposed to do if they're good little players, and so you make sure that it's really painful if they go outside of it. That's fine enough, and then if you're really strong, then it's not painful. Whew. Decisions. I am not going to risk this. I'm going to get the gold serpent ring and then see if I can fight the guy. But yeah, I mean, and also it's video games are a one-player experience, so sometimes you really do need to pad out the length. Maybe there's all sorts of purposes to it that really, like, using it as railroading in an open world context is probably the cleanest one I can think of. And you know what? That's what a lot of old games used to do. Yeah, there'd be, specific keys and stuff sometimes, but like, it's still, I just remember like Dragon Warrior 1 and 2, old RPGs, very influential RPGs, and that's exactly how they did it. It was like you'd have some places that are key restricted, so you have to do stuff in the story where you just have to explore something in particular, but other things are just level restricted, and they're level restricted because you go over there and you'll get killed because your character's not that high level right now. But again, I have no idea why you would ever try and do something like that in a tabletop RPG. Like, okay, if you want to complete, like, a complete fucking world, like, you're a game master and you're designing your world, and you want it to be so complete that, like, it's just literally, the answer to every question to any time players do it, and so because of that, you do have to restrict where people could go, so it's not like level 1 people are trying to go off and do stuff they shouldn't, they're going places that are too dangerous. So, things over here at this level and things over that level, but again, like, you never really can anticipate the full creativity of your players, so it's much better, in my opinion, to always adapt, and the systems are built really with that expectation in mind, that you're going to always be adapting as a game master. You're not always going to be reading from the script. You're always going to be saying, oh, wow, those players came up with something that I didn't think about. Wow, those players came up with a really cool solution to that problem. Wow, that's creative. That's interesting. And so because of that, it's just, I'm like, grinding in an RPG, tabletop RPG, that is, why do you need to? Are you sure you need to? Oh, still not dead. Okay, I'll let it go. But yeah, it just, thinking about grinding in games versus grinding in there. So, this conflict about grinding. I'm like, yeah, not a huge fan of grinding. And part of how it does it is because it's like, well, one solution would be if you feel as a game designer you need those elements in there, then, well, what you can do is you could just have it be, if the players have the right knowledge, they can kind of skyrocket through that. Well, what does that mean, skyrocket through it? For instance, in the conflict I'm going through right now. Well, that means if they don't, it means being able to buy it. Okay, great. So being able to buy it, but it can still be exorbitant because price and really outrageous prices, but really outrageous prices because, well, you expect the player who's considering that option to be just like, well, I don't need all those souls to level that currency to level up. I can use that currency to take shortcuts in the thing that I care about taking shortcuts in because I know what I'm doing. Okay. And I guess that's how it goes, although in the Souls games, the merchants are also spread out and sometimes really hard to access and sometimes really difficult to access and tied to the story. So because of that, it doesn't quite meet that prerequisite, at least not, this one. But it is what it is, not the worst thing in the world. This is honestly one of the worst type grinding challenges you could have, right? Where I need one resource, and just the one resource, and I need a bunch of it, and I need that resource to try and get the weapon that I can hurt things, and otherwise, based on the constraint I'm giving myself, it's harder to hurt things. So, yeah. That's where we're at. But yeah, grinding in a tabletop RPG, just players want to fight stuff and figure out how to fight stuff, but I'm just old-fashioned. I like to focus on the story. I like to think about, should I open it up? Yeah, I should open it up. Ooh, no. Let's see, how's this person gonna do it? Come on, walk closer. I'm worried that slashing at him is going to make him fall. Okay, what made him fall? Okay. Should I go for the other thing? What are the advantages? I'll get a tight knit chunk. I think I just gonna have to wait it out though. It's not worth it right now. Slumbering ring, but I'm not really gonna use the slumbering ring, so who cares? But yeah, grinding and tabletops. A lot of thoughts about tabletops. Ah, yes, and so I remember in there coming up about how it's like part of the weirdness in the numbers of D&D has to do with the D20 system. So let's talk about the great things about the D20 system. Implicitly, it seems fair, right? Okay, let's get this. I like to line this up, and then switch the camera, then run straight at that thing, which won't hurt me while I'm running at it, and then... Whoa! No! Hooray for claws. Oh well. Not that bad. Back up there. But yeah, so the D20 system, advantages. Wide range, 5% statistical intervals, right? 1 out of 20 is 5%. Okay, that's very intuitive, and it hits, 10%, 20%, 50%, 25%. All those things are in there. Great. Easy to quickly do those numbers. Again, you've got things that are way down low and things that are way up high. Because it's 1 to 20, well, that means that, like, modifiers, like, I can go from, +1 to +5 to +10, and all of those mean something different, and, a +6 is better than a +5, it's 5% better by whatever metric, and I think generally that's how the math's going to work out, right? Is that each increment of 1 on a d20 roll is going to be a 5%. Okay. So we make that system. Okay. So why is that useful? Because well, that means that you can have that over that large range, there's more to consider. And I really wonder if this was, I think it was partially arbitrary how they came to 1d20, but like they also considered that aspect of it. It's not just 1d10, 1d20. Got a larger breadth of things, so larger range of modifiers than I might consider to be realistic or important. Anybody following me here? But yeah, so, and you know, 20, it's symbolic, it's easy to understand. You know, the core check mechanic is obviously like a very sensible generalization of the choose your own adventure novel concept, etc. But okay, we've got the 1d20 disadvantages. So how stable is the average? Right, it's a uniform distribution in the sense of that, like, if you say how probable is it I'm going to get a 10, 5%. How probable is it I'm going to get a 20, 5%. How probable is it I'm going to get a 1, 5%. Okay, that intuitively sort of has this like fairness in the same way that most musings on a uniform distribution appear fair. It's like, yeah, everything is equal, all the different outcomes are equally likely. Okay, well, then what if you put a threshold on it? Like, you say that numbers above this are have this property, like they pass, numbers below this do this. Okay, well, again, you can clearly split it up into 5% increments, but, you know, do we really think of things now in terms of, like, average, like, and exemplary? Like, that's something that I think would make sense for a system that's used to tell stories about heroes and their adventures and exploits. I think it would make sense. Oh, crap. There was another large Titanite shard there I wanted. Guess I'm just gonna have to, you know, barrel through. We'll see what happens here. But yeah, that if you alter it so that now the definition that you care about, okay, these guys have fallen off to their deaths, or at least they've fallen off to their not annoying meanness. But yeah, that because of the way the the D20 uniform distribution an outcome works, it's like you don't have this real, you can say that like average like would be say within +2. So then it's like, okay, so 10, 11, 12, 9, 8, that's average like. So 25% of the time is average like. Well, that's certainly not normal. I mean, and by that I mean literally like the normal distribution, depending on how you defined it. Like, if you were to switch it and ask questions like, how much does it deviate from that? Well, it deviates from that in a way that allows things that are, exemplary heroic to occur more likely. Yes, but isn't the point of the exemplary heroics, if you have like a one-dimensional representation of whatever this heroism is that the hero has properties that make it so that that happens more frequently, i.e., their modifier is the thing that should contribute to it being successful, not the luck of the die roll. Well, we want luck to be a big factor in the game. Why would you want luck to be a big factor in the game? You want it to be an excitement factor, but by the way it's being defined here, you're going to have just as many exemplary successes as you are exemplary failures. Well, it's a team game, right? So, especially given the sort of biased narrative weight to the players, that is, there's more players, they have more... Did I hope I did. But yeah, that it's like, if it's like, oh, well, if it's just about combat, then yeah, even if a few players, critically fail because we've defined the system in a way that allows that to happen, like, don't worry about it. It's not going to be a big thing because as long as, one of the players is there to save the team, then the play, everybody will be okay. Okay, I guess that makes sense, but then do you really need to increase the chance for that happening just on the randomized component, or would it be sufficient to just build a system such that, like, it's possible for players to use the system in an intelligent, strategic way to save the day or save their teammates? Like, I guess is that? Yeah, well, watch out. This is dangerous. Man, This guy is bleed. There we go. But yeah, I mean that's just kind of how I see it. Is it's like if the players are gonna, yeah, I just don't see the need to kind of up that exemplary success. You know, especially if the only way to do it fairly is to also up the exemplary failures. It just seems to me like it's asking for some sort of disharmony of people being like, that doesn't really make much sense. Or at least, sort of as an alternative, what I'm trying to get at is like, why not use a distribution that's much more normal? That's, by that I mean, you know, much more centered on the average, so that you have a much more confident, you know, option for predicting the outcome. That makes sense, doesn't it? Like, if your character, if it's supposed to have some sort of simulation of realism, and particularly, like, when I say simulation of realism, I don't mean it as, oh, well, because it's not normal distribution, it's a failure as a representation of reality. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, it's a game, and the players are going to think tactically, and if part of thinking tactically means relying on things that are going to inherently be by chance, isn't it more of, and this is like the quintessential sort of description people talk about rogues in these systems, right? It's like the pitfall of the rogue is that all stealth is both being visually and auditorily, you know, not unseen and unheard, so you got to take that check, and then the whole point is to sort of get into something, so you got to make sure you can actually get into it. That's a separate check, and it's just like probabilistically, you know, it's just doomed. It's like you're gonna have to make so many of these rolls, and it doesn't matter if all of them have really awesome modifiers, because there's just it's really more dependent on the number of rolls that you take, because all it takes is one really horrible failure for that story to fall apart. And that, you know, rogues again exemplify this point, but that criticism is true of how many we got. We're at 8. Good job, team. Okay, maybe this wasn't quite as bad as I thought. And you've got large for 4. Well, let's just see what we can do with that.
Go along, try and make split.
Alright, that should help a lot. Except for I still gotta go back to Andre, but whatever. But yeah, it's like, you want things to be normal so that players can feel the reward from their own choices and success. Not because the system should always reward that, but because the chance of the system shouldn't just, like, it's, if the player's like, oh yeah, I got a 20, yeah, I mean, that's like, again, it's like Candy Crush. It's like, okay, so you're trying to get your players to be invested in a reward. I'm gonna keep this. Yeah, that was stupid, but it worked. Good old Wolverine. Keep slashing. But yeah, it's like, so you want it to be easier to let players have that really awesome surge of like, yeah, I got a 20, ha 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 ha. Well, I mean, sure, if that's your goal, then yeah, go for a uniform distribution, because it's going to happen some of the time. It's going to happen more of the time. The tails are going to be higher up, probably, you know, have higher probabilities than they would if it was a normal system where things are happening, where they're centered around the average. That's, you know, intuitive. So I'm not trying to just be like, oh, I disagree with that, therefore it should be this way. But yeah, it's like, yeah, when I say it's like Candy Crush, I mean it's, you know, this system of like, okay, you're trying to build a game where people like it because they like the things that happen in it. But if the things that are happening in it that they like are externalized, which is like, I pick up a book and I find something that I like in it, it gives me a compliment. The book says I am special and smart and pretty. Okay, that's externalized, right? Like that the book is the one doing that thing. If I read the book and it makes me think about something and I'm like, whoa, that's a cool thought, or like, yeah, I think that's the right way to think about it. Like, I'm doing it. I've internalized it. I'm contributing to what I like about what's going on. Let's see, how high can we get? Okay, and we still have how many after this? 5. Okay, so if I can get... So if I can kill Big Boy up here... Wow. I didn't really realize it. Like, I'm an hour into this, and it looks like I'm going to be able to get those 2+10s. How many chunks do I got? 5 chunks. Okay, so I can get those up there too, so I might be able... How much humanity do I got? 8. Well, there you go. That'll take some time. Should I kill that guy? Now let's just go straight for the death. But yeah, the system, like 1d20, it just compared to anything more normalized, or has a more normalized distribution, I'm like, I think that's better because it's going to be more reliable, it's going to be more certain. Those moments are going to feel rare, they're going to be rarer, and they're going to feel more like yes, or those situations where it's like, wow, I'm doing well, but I've only got there by luck. It was like the luck of the circumstances. And just think of, like, I mean, how many times in a story is like what's being told that, oh, well, the hero didn't really have anything exemplary, there was no causal relationship between their success and their failure and what was going on in the story. It was just chance. It was just, they got lucky at the time when they really needed to get lucky, and that's the story we're trying to tell here. It's not really the point. The point is to reward choices. The point is to feel like your characters, you made choices for your characters, those choices were the right choices, or those choices were the wrong choices. And you get rewarded because of those choices. That's just how it works. Alright, I'm going to stop talking and focus on this battle because I'm using a slashy weapon to try and kill the guy who's made of metal. This is stupid, but it is what it is. Yep, I feel like Wolverine, except for the part where the claws are really cool and they hurt people a lot. That's not happening. But I still have claws. Yeah, he fell down and he got back up. I don't like it here where... Oh. Come on, come this way. Don't just throw the thing out. Make sure I'm back. There we go. And we're gonna hop. Damage, guys. Everybody kicking me. Why everybody kicking me? Yeah. Show me how big and angry you are. Oh, he's almost there again. He's almost going to fall down on his booty. Is this poise damage? Like, is that what's going on here? Oh, so he bounced out of it. Alright. I shouldn't have done that. I should dodge first. Yep. Oh, come on. Don't do this. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. That's what I should have done. Not put myself in a situation. Stop now. Slash. get out of a place where if I dodge, I'm going to fall off a cliff. Oh, yep, okay, good. There you go. Yeah, you know you want to die. Cool. How much souls? I got enough souls to buy... What, 5? Should I just buy 6 to be safe? In case the number's 10. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Just no risking this at all. Let's heal first, then get stuff, then go to Andre. Then I'll have plus 10 claws within basically an hour. And not even having to do the grinding thing that I thought I was going to do, although at the expense of a lot more souls, but whatever. If I can actually play the game, I can get a lot more souls. So, yay! It's going pretty successful. And then I'll get the gargoyle helm, so I'll be able to look like I want. Which is important. But, yeah, all that rambling about uniform distribution versus normal distribution in a role-playing game, it's just like, even with D&D, 3d6. Technically the average of 3d6 is 10.5, not 10. So, there you go. Not quite as variable. Oh, I only need 5 more, okay. Yeah, so yeah, half of my money, but that's fine. And I should hop back over, because that's where I want to be anyway. What was I going to talk about? What was I talking about? Yeah, that like, if you just use the 3d6 system, again, technically the average shifted up a tiny, tiny bit. And you know what? Again, like, that's, especially if you have opposition rolls, that's fine. Speaking of opposition rolls, I mean, that's one way to make things much more normal. Is, if you're talking about dice rolls, it's like, the closer you are to normality is pretty much just dependent on the number of events you have. It's a law of large numbers thing. It's part of the whole point, is that, like, if you just have one simple system, it doesn't really portray that. But should I rest here, or should I just warp back up to the top? I think I'll just warp back up to the top. I've got the bones, right? 7 bones is fine. Should level up though, I don't want to die down here. Yeah, screw it. I need to know how strong I am. Let's go fight that guy first. Or after, sorry. But, alright, modify, claw, up. Reinforce, claw. And then claw. And then claw. Ah, okay, so I'm 1 over. Okay, so that's 4,000 wasted. So, plus 10 claws. Yeah. So the real question is, should I kill Ingward and just go straight for it? Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna focus because without blocking and so forth. This guy's kind of scary. Because his attacks have such large range. Or large healing classes, I should say. No, 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 no. There you go. There we go. Yeah, that's feeling like Wolverine now. Yeah. Considering it's just me here. I'm at 25. Well, let's get the... How hard is the gargoyle helm going to be? No. Killing them. Okay. Alright, I'll play for a bit more time, but... Let's do it. Let's... Okay, if I'm here, then that's how it's going to be. Did I have... Transient Curse. Oh, that's going to be the fun part. Is the beautiful poise damage I'm going to receive from the ghosts. Yep, it's worth it. What are we doing? Level up. How much does it go up? 3. Okay. But yeah, it's just like, so people talked about that before with things like in D&D, you know, attack versus AC. Well, instead of the base 10, you should just replace that with the D20 roll. Okay, well, again, part of the problem is it's like, yes, if you do 1d20, yeah, 1 kills now. If you do 1d20 minus 1d20, you know, yeah, that's much more normal than just 1d20. Okay, great. It's like a triangle instead of like a line. But it's not very curved or anything. What about 3d6? Or what about 3d6 minus 3d6? I mean, yeah, there's going to be some variability on the defense. I mean, for practical reasons, I think that generally it's not great to have to roll AC in D&D because it's, you got to make a lot of rolls. But it's fine. In my system, I usually generally do that, where it's like there's a defense and it's a roll. I use 2d6 in that system, so again, things are a little shrunk by comparison. So no, the numbers aren't directly portable, but that is what it is. New login time. But yeah, I mean, I have a large set of suggestions for sort of small tweaks to D&D that I think would help it. I mean, among it, as I kind of started, it also tore apart in this ramble, was like, what if we get rid of classes? I mean, what if it was just you had all the abilities and people could just have some sort of point-buy system? And I know there are other RPG systems that work that way, specifically because it's a very intuitive suggestion and it allows a lot more flexibility, allows people to create things. I mean, that's also, you know, a detriment because then it's like, well, balance-wise, players can create crazy new things, so sometimes it's really hard to predict what crazy things they'll come up with. Then again, D&D, it's like almost the bigger those systems become in terms of books and expansions and so forth, the more likely you are just to encounter that, like, yep, it's a pain. I mean, I was in seeing it, I remember looking at like this forum once about it, because when I was playing a lot of 3, like flight, you know, playing some sort of monster class so you can get flight, you know, was like a huge thing. It was like, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to fly, and I don't want to have to be a wizard that's constantly casting a spell. So, like, what's the option? Well, there's plenty of races that, like, you can just be that just have flight. Something I like to do in the New Londo is, like, when I'm just sort of walking through it, is to always make sure that if I don't need the ring slot to use gold serpent ring, that way, and I'm just kind of killing these ghosts to get through stuff, their chances they'll drop transient crystals are high, so I can remain in sort of cursed steady state, just because their big drawback and the real scary thing is if you're fighting them and you run out of curses and then you have to figure out how to get more. That's the pain. That's the real scariness. But yeah, well, I need to focus in this room, so I'm not going to tell you. Okay, 1 down. 2 down. No bonus. Okay, good. Alright, so I've killed all of these people, and none of them are non-people because they're dead. But they've dropped no transient curses. That's not very nice of them. But I'm also not taking a huge amount of damage. Well, I've used 2 already, which, considering what's coming up. Is he behind me? Yeah, he's behind me. Come on, let's fight Ghost. Don't. Yeah. Guess I'm just used to being human and have it or something. Maybe that's why I'm thinking about that. Oh, Ghost. Well, that's another alternative, right? If you got that, then you'll pick up the Ghost Blades and be running real low. Plus, I mean, some builds, like I'm doing this guy right here, you know, if it was a desperate situation and I needed to use some Twilight Twinkling. Twilight, you can't upgrade these legs, I don't think. If not, I should be doing that. Can I upgrade the helmet? I don't really use the gargoyle helmet, so I don't really know. I'll find out. So this is another situation. I think that dash in might be dash in, dash out. Let's do it. Okay, dash in, complete. Dash out. Alright, what do we got here? 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's see. So I got that far, and they seem to all disappear. How are we doing? Okay, so there they are again. Coming this way. Oof. Alright. So yeah, by dash in, dash out, I just mean the fact that, blah, that sort of stuff tends to happen with these ghosts, where they just are all around you, and you just, doesn't matter how much poise you have, you're gonna get stunned a lot. How many we got still? From which directions? Okay, does that mean it's enough? I'm only taking care of 2 of them. And this is where I go, Go over here. Okay, 2 more. Can I get close enough to pick that up? Yes. 1, 2, 3. Trying to swing at me. Come on, come closer, come on. Yeah. No, do not. Alright. I'm gonna gamble it now. How are we doing? Yeah, alright, well that's what happens. Great! This is the fun of New Londo, and the fun of not having shields. Technically all I really need to do is run up there. Killing word. Only got 3,000 souls. The odds of me being able to pick those up are pretty high. So I have to walk without the thing. Is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it to be able to go to plus 12, plus 13. Keep upping these claws before I fight Smo Ornstein. So yeah, sorry for all the quiet. It's just New Londo. That's how it goes. Yeah, because I've got parry, but it doesn't matter if the problem is I'm surrounded by tons and tons of attacks, even if they're weak attacks. That's really not the problem. The damage is... But I guess that's still what kills me. But, yeah, so just... those of you out there playing D&D or like it, or it's just sort of like, yeah, something about the system. Well, some suggestions are 1d20, 3d6. See what you want to do. Because again, in the 3d6 system, it's like getting insanely high rolls, not going to happen as much. Getting average rolls, going to happen. So like, if you have an enemy that has an AC of 15, and you have a +4 on your attack roll, less than half the time. That maybe even significantly less than half the time. But still, that's because you have a +4, and they have a +5, relatively speaking, to their armor. So they're more armored than you are. One of the drawbacks, or one of the things about doing things on a, you know, a normal like curve is that even if the incremental differences aren't equal, so it's not like a +1 no matter how where you are in the scale is going to be 5%. It actually means that when you're down, it's like going from +0 to +1 is huge. That's a much bigger thing than going from a +5 to a +6. It's diminishing returns. Goes back to the whole thing of like, well, maybe once I get it really high, I should, you know, diversify, or I shouldn't necessarily, you know, it goes back to the thing of like, if the characters are supposed to specialize individually at different things, then that literally lets you do that, because you can just be like, oh, well, I'm gonna specialize in this, and I've got a thing up to like +5, +6, and generally speaking, with the basic things that go along with that skill or that activity, I can accomplish them. That's how it works. Yeah, normally I still just fight my way through that room, but with this build, ain't gonna do that. So, let's see, what do I want to do? Dash in, dash out, dash in, climb? Well, let's see how much damage I take. Ugh. Yep, I think this is a... Let's see, how much damage am I gonna take doing this? Okay, oh, there we go, and dead. Okay, so that didn't work. Going out, going over. The problem is also with the claw moveset. It's like not having a... These guys are just the worst for the claws. It takes, what, 5 minutes per try. This is painful. Yep. Yeah, dash in, dash out, dash in, climb. That's the next thing to try. Then I need to what? Make sure that they don't come up through the roof. Try and kill Ingward. Get that key. And then once leaving there to the ruins is not that big a deal. How many do I got? 8. I'm doing fine. But yeah, you know, I haven't played too much D&D 5e. I mean, part of what I really appreciate the idea that they're trying to go back to kind of the third edition, like where everything just kind of blew up. The cool thing about that was that it was modular. From this sort of gamist simulationist standpoint, it was very clear, like, what the different books were, what the different components were. And you could kind of build the game you wanted based on being like, okay, well, we want more of this kind of thing, and this gives us more of that kind of content to explore, exactly like you'd expect. And it didn't have as much of sort of that direct narrative overlap in that it still required, you know, the expectation was that, like, everybody's going to homebrew, or if they are going to, you know, use existing modules, like, they're going to probably customize them a lot, which in practice is how things go. So, I mean, that's a very reasonable approach to doing it that way. A very reasonable approach from the people who run it. Surprise, surprise. They know how the system is used. That's a good thing. But with 5, like, I appreciate that it's sort of like, okay, well, things maybe were a little too modular back in 3 days, because, you know, the Citizens of 4 were precisely that. So it's like, you want to be like, okay, well, we've got like this new guide to like creatures, and that we'll add some more options for different races because it's about creatures, but we'll also do a lot about like the lore and the ideas of like the different cultures and what's going on with that. Okay, that's cool. Or like, okay, we've got a new thing. There's just a lot of little things from, like, I appreciate they do that. Then at the same time, I understand that like the effort required, you know, is high. But like then it's just and everything we're gonna release books that are like in a campaign setting, and that campaign setting is Toro. Like straight up, this is just our dumping ground. This is just like if we ever want to make a fantasy world, it's not a Greyhawk anymore. It's just always gonna be Forgotten Realms. It's how it goes. Get used to it. Okay. Oh jeez. Dash in. Successful. Dash out. Whew. Ah, don't kill me, everybody. Let's see, that one's down. That one's down. 2 down. That is really what it's gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be very slow, very steady. Come on, don't. Come on. Yay, one more down. Yeah, okay, let's just be patient. Okay. But yeah, and Complaint have made a lot of sense with the style they were doing it to be like, here's a bunch of campaign settings. Like, you know, I get that Toril and Eberron and Greyhawk, like these are much bigger worlds. They have multiple settings, not just like Sword Coast, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great, fine. That's fine. You can do those for that. But then you have all these other planes that have been developed in D&D. You even put some notes about them in the player's handbook, which is part of why I was like, I think this is the direction they're going. Did I kill enough of them? What's gonna happen if I do this? Gonna get slashed? Not gonna get slashed. Not yet, at least. Oh, somebody's angry. Is anybody gonna come up here and be angry? They're just gonna stab my feeties? Well, it's been a while since I've fought Ingward, but I think I can handle him while fighting a ghost. It's only one. Sorry, Ingward.
Do you? But I...
Anything I wanna... Yeah, why not? Completionist. Deal with it, even if it's useless. You don't want to talk to me? Okay.
I am...
Yes, you are. You Mr. Guardian. Alright. How are you on bleed, Ingward?
You are no...
Oh, you're not doing so great, huh? Well. Phew. Okay. Still have Covetous equipped. Still have Curse active for the moment. Anyone clearly around? Let's just go through this pain. Yeah, ow. That's nice. Ooh. Yeah, no me gusta. Haha! What was I saying? But yeah, so it's like you've got this whole list of planes, list of worlds, and then even at the same time, like this is finally the generation where, at least from Wizards explicitly, we're getting some recognition of this idea of merging, playing D&D, but in magic settings, which, like, people have been doing for a while, people have been wanting to do for a while, and it's just been like, well, just kind of have to... A few people have generously spent time to compile ideas and things, but still requires a lot of upfront work, which is fine. I mean, a lot of what's exists is portable. But, they finally are like nodding that way, and they're still just not doing it. I guess I'm just like, it would make sense to me if they're like, look, you got the Great Wheel, go back to Planescape. And Planescape, like, I get that what everyone was experimenting with, like in the 90s, that it was, the settings also had like a flavor, and the flavor was integrated into the kinds of stories that were being told. And, especially since this was Generation 1, no complaints, okay? Like, you can have a low fantasy campaign in a crazy hell, heaven dimension plane. Why not? You can totally do that. It's up to the GM. It's up to having willing players. Those are the variables, not like, does it make sense thematic? Well, I mean, yes, does it make sense thematically, but like, let's just assume that, the game master's going to do the effort. Is that a thing hanging there to pick up? Oh, I'll check it out. Should I check it? Yeah, because I'm going to go down afterwards. Can I get it? Yeah, it's Curse. Oh, it looked cool there with the light reflecting off of the thing. Let's go down. Over and around. Alright, so time for seeing how I handle Dark Wraiths. But... yeah, I mean, it just feels like in talking, and looking on online forums and talking to other players, it's like the improvements, and they are improvements, in my opinion, to the system that D&D 5 has. It's sort of like the transparency of the authors and the books, and sort of being like, here's a system, go to it. And it being like, monsters only come in 5 flavors. It's like, yeah. That's true-ish, But hearing you guys, like, talk so much about it is demystifying. Even though we know it's like, yeah, you've got a new book of monsters, they're not going to be that different. The same, it's about, like, the cultures and the lore that you attach to them. An orc and a goblin aren't that different. Like, even, eventually they made them... let's go something with it. A bugbear and a hobgoblin, right? Like, or no, it's a hobgoblin and an orc. One sneaks more, and uses traps more, and is associated with goblins more often. That's it. So they're not the same creature. We're not saying they're the same creature, but whoa, okay, that was fast. Not just because I was talking. That's my fault. But yeah, it's like, you can still fill the books up, even if it feels copied with stuff. Like, yeah, the real goal we want to move towards is that stuff is assisted by technology like computers, such that, all the stats and generating variations and all that stuff's there. But, like, the lore aspect, at some point, it's... even if the stat system isn't amenable to being a document that people manually read through, the lore still will be. Like, it's still going to be, read all this to learn about, the culture of the goblins and hobgoblins, and, like, why you might have a hobgoblin versus an orc, Just read about it. And it just really felt, especially, like, the way the animals and NPCs, and the way that they did, like, the modifying challenge ratings suggested in D&D 5, it was just, they're very much just kind of like, yeah, there's only a few kinds of monsters, really. That's how it goes, and, just pick the one that you think is the best, which is how everyone has to do it anyway. And I guess that's good for, like, fast adaptability, so that's fine. But I think that that's a great starting point. I think that, I'm not trying to criticize that attitude or perspective to be like, oh, that's wrong. I think it's right. I think it's modular. I think it's extensible, which is great. But what you want to do from there is then fill in all the narrative. Like, what you want to do from there is be like, okay, so you guys get the mechanics, you get how you can populate these worlds really fast with challenges and traps and monsters. You get how, and treasure. Like, you get how to do that. Now, here's a bunch of cool ideas about places to go. And again, it's like they've brought in the magic stuff, and I really, the more and more I think about it, the more I'm like, I very much doubt they're ever going to merge the two, like merge, magic and, like Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons or anything directly. And I actually have sort of in my own multiverse conception, I have sort of an explanation that's kind of intuitive, is like why the ones in those planes might be different. I won't really elaborate on it, 'cause who knows where that idea will take me one day, but even if you want to keep them separate, that's still fine. I mean, we know about the sort of inherent drawbacks and difficulties to doing a plane hopping campaign, that it's giving players that ability. It's not something you shouldn't do. It's just that you gotta build the right atmosphere around it. Okay, how are we gonna do this? Alright, let's see how this goes. Ooh, hopping around. Oh, crap. Forgot, this one comes here. How are the ghosts doing? Well, I mean, let's see what happens. I don't know if I've ever tried this of just going in directly. I usually kill everybody, then come up here. Do they follow me? Do they know how to get up here? Is the AI that smart? It's only like 4,000, or was it 10,000? I think it was 10,000, so it's a bit of a gamble, but it's worth it. And again, the biggest gamble is the skulls, that I won't be able to dodge them in time. We'll find out. But yeah, I mean, I really think that it would have been nice if in D&D 5, and I guess they still have time to do it, but it was like they just tried to create one unified system. Like this whole thing of like, oh, we're going to do Spelljammer, and we're going to do sorry, I'm going to whoa. No. Okay. Well, let's just go for getting the souls back. Don't worry about fighting later. Okay. How many we got? 1, 2, 3. What's gonna happen if I do this? They gonna come in? I mean, the whole point was really to get the Titanite chunks, but ooh, wow, it just thundered and lightninged. Okay, 1, 2. Oh, yep, there we go. Got locked again. Well, whatever. Okay, so we got those souls. So, okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Since I'm going all the way back here, we're doing this. Soul of a hero. How much is that? 5? 10. Okay, that's more than I was expecting, but whatever. Wherever I picked that up. Reinforce the weapon. Okay. So I've got even more damage. So let's see. How much damage? 4. Okay. 4 points is fine. So let's see if we can go back there, kill a handful. Because there's also like a chunk or two down there, which is worth it. Yeah, I mean, this is going to turn out so too well. So we got 20 minutes to jump down, jump back up, get the gargoyle helm, at least based on what I was expecting to do. Okay, maybe I'll play a little bit longer than I was anticipating. It's more like 2.5 hours. But let's see. We shall see. But yeah, it's. I really think that rather than you've got Ravenloft that does this stuff, Spelljammers do this stuff, Planescape's like this, Greyhawk's like this, Twirl's like this, and I get it. It's like the evolution's very, very clear. Okay, Greyhawk or Earth, however you want to think about it. Twirl, then we get a little bit more cyberpunk sci-fi with, no, not Vryn. What's Vryn? Vryn's in Magic, but Kryn is the Dragon Lance, and then, Eris? I don't know. Whatever the name of the Dark Sun world was. But yeah, it's like we're doing those, okay. And then what do we got? We've got like it's good, real gothic horror. We got this Ravenloft where it's like it's kind of like a different plane, but it's kind of not. But it's kind of like multiple, but they're kind of individualized. We've got like Spelljammer where it's more sci-fi-y, but still fantasy, but still sci-fi-y. Where, yeah, and like let's incorporate a bunch of stuff like that. And Planescape, which is like, boom, look at all this out here. But I've actually been trying to, like I said, have this like own integrated multiverse I've been working on, where sort of the goal of it would be like, well, every time, first it's just like to unify the language so that things aren't so confused, but to basically like every time a new GM is like, we're gonna do a campaign, whatever, that's just simply a new timeline. Like, yeah, you can merge timelines if you want. Wait a minute, does that mean I got that obscure weapon from before? Yeah. Oh, cool. Not the jagged ghost blade, but the ghost blade. Nice. That's cool. Yeah, why don't I just drop down this time? Do the normal way. Okay. Really? Wow. Well, that was some massive failure on my part. At least I got a chunk for it. Okay. But yeah, it's like they experiment the world, then they experiment with theme. But yeah, when you try and, or when I at least sort of work to integrate all the different worlds together, one of the things that was kind of amusing about Planescape was like, they really, yes, there's like the specific like ethereal plane and astral plane, and then hypothetically you can be like, I'm gonna go to Earth, I'm gonna go to Toril, I'm gonna pull all those together. Yeah, there's that aspect of it, but like the specific planes that they go through of like Bator, Celestia, all that stuff, they really are all different kinds of like underworlds. They're all different places that the dead go, which is fine, but it's like, compared to say Magic the Gathering, where things can be they seem to be, you know, a lot of times centralized around artistic or cultural theme, but like at least they can have a very different feel to them. Let's see. So if that's there, he can. I'm just gonna go for it. Just to go get my souls back. Okay. All right. Doesn't seem like the other guy's following me. Okay, well, there you go. That's 10,000 or whatever number of souls that was. Okay, so if that's liberated, then got the 4 here. I guess I can come back, try and get these, try and kill that thing, because, you know, in progress. Get that other chunk. And just see what I can get to. Yeah, whatevs. But yeah, with like all those planes, it actually does form kind of a well, at least as I sort of sat and pondered it, there's sort of a certain degree of coherence in it. I think that especially going through as they've adjusted that stuff, and it's like then they're like, let's try to. It did feel like the 335 manual of the planes were really trying to integrate all of it, but like at the same time, you know, not make any changes. I mean, we need to make a few little edits here or there. Not even really. It's mostly just kind of switching things up a bit, but and a lot more sort of implicit structure does fall out of the ideas they had, and you can kind of unify them into a much, at least I find to be a much more simple or straightforward framework for like, this is how planes work. I mean, I guess I call it simpler, but part of it is just taking things like saying like elemental planes and underworlds are all different like dimensions of planes that are connected to but surround the material plane. The material plane is material planes. It's like literally like, you know, kind of like planets in a star system. I mean, there's a bunch of little dots in there. And they're connected, and some of them are connected by space, and that's what we think of as like planets and so forth. Some of them are connected by the phlogiston phlogiston, whatever it's called. And Spelljammer, and some of it might even be able to say they're all connected by the ether, like in Magic. It's like it might seem like it might seem redundant. Like, wait a minute, this is just the same concept over again, so one of them has to be right. But let's take a yes and, not a but. Let's keep trying to snowball it all into one framework. Then it's like, is there justifiable complexity? Well, the fact that you got books that talk about one versus the other, I mean, even if those didn't cross back over into each other such that they've experienced both, like, why not just say they are unified? That makes a simpler system, at least for how you're trying to explore and think about politics and interconnectedness. But yeah, I mean, I've found what I think at least like is kind of a straightforward way to. Wait, what was that star thing I saw? I think that was just the cracked red eye. But yeah, it doesn't take a lot to sort of come up with what I think is a simplified shared framework. And no dying. Yep, there we go. Okay, well, down 2 already. Why can't they all be like this, Dark Wraith? You know, maybe hit me once, and then you know, let me backstab him again. Ooh. Well, see, he's trying to help me out, even though I'm not doing a lot to capitalize on it. Okay, here we go. Oh, fudge me. Okay, so that did trigger it this time. But let's get out of here. Down to 6. Okay. Down to 6. How we doing? What? How did I trigger that third? Well, at least I'm down here. Progress, everyone, progress. It's only been 7 minutes. But yeah, in terms of creating a unified system of the planes, I do think it's very feasible to do that. I think they kind of should do that, especially since one of the really, as I said, one of the really simple things you can do is once you make that just a very straightforward addendum of like, oh, and above that are timelines. So, you know, if you want to have a timeline, they want to have a timeline, then that's fine. I mean, that's already the way people kind of handle it, right? It's not like people, you know, again, like in Dark Souls, they have, you know, time moves in weird ways. Like, it's not like if you have D&D Adventurers League and the people are like, oh, we're all going to the Temple of Elemental Evil. Like, they don't think, like, there's just thousands of different Temples of Elemental Evil, or, like, it's like a video game, some sort of big MMO, and we're all like on top of each other at the same time within our positions within the world. It doesn't make much sense, but it does if you're a video game and a bunch of servers, because you're literally different timelines, you're different instances of the same place. So like that's how it has to work. And it's a straightforward thing if you want to have people connect. Like that's just something I always thought would be really cool in video games too. Is like with all these different RPGs. I mean, it'd be really hard to find, you know, do that between studios, but even a single studio, just to have some system where it's like, no, you get to create your own character, and like between different worlds, which again, you could do like the gothic horror world, the fantasy world, maybe one of them's more like interplanar fantasy, one's more like a single medieval place, maybe one's more feudal Japan, I don't know. But you could just be like, no, you can actually share equipment and data across all the games. If there's like a shared system, which I know it's like they constantly update these things. I know why it's impractical to suggest something like that. But still, like, if you did it in a way where all it required was that each individual game got a patch, you know, every time a new game came out, and that just made it compatible with the others. Just seems to me like you could set up something like that, which would be kind of cool, especially if you integrate it with like a multiplayer idea, because you could have people be like, yes, I have this character and I work on this character like across these different worlds, and it's not just like, oh, I'm the hero of this story and the hero of this story. Obviously for like level design and scaling and grinding, like I talked about before, well, that assumes that the game developers have already sort of solved their way out of that, because, you know, it's a problem if you really rely on things being spaced out by power tiers and stuff. It doesn't work, but whatever. You know, somehow people solve it in their heads. I don't know. Okay. Alright, let's see. What do I want to do right here? Sorry, I've been quiet. Just, ooh, sweet, double sweet. Alright, how many more do I need for this? A lot more, I think, is the answer. I'm already what? 3, 4. This one's a... So let's assume that was 1 and 1, which I think was right. So 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 18 plus... So it goes to 7. Okay. Alright, let's see what happens when I do this. But, yeah, I don't know if that's just some rambling about, like, continuity as well as sort of some design choices for D&D and other things you can do with the system. Grinding doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. Oh, I should not have done that. That was greedy. Yeah, take that. I don't know whether that was bleed or what, but he died. And now where's the big guy? I'm gonna fight the big one. I wanna fight the big one. That's a quote from something. Forget what. No, no goo. No goo. No me gusta. I'm just gonna die. So I could not focus, but then I'm probably gonna die. Alright, is he gonna slash me again? No, okay. Ooh, yeah, strong attack. You know you like that. Five left, okay. Ow! That was not nice. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. You gonna drop one? You are gonna drop one. That was nice. Thank you, you evil dude. So, 7 minutes. Did not meet the gargoyle, but got better weapons. I think that's a success, but I'm not clear about that. Oh, no, that was a failure. I do not want this. Do not, really do not want that. Okay, yeah. Whoa. And I didn't even see those things because, yeah. Wow. I've never tried that before. If I aggro him and then just walk away. That's scary. Well, he's almost dead. Take that. You suck, monster. Give me your money. Because I lost all my money from before. Alright, so that's 5. 5. Well, I guess I'll just focus on the right-hand weapon since I'm not using the offhand attack as much for now. But alright, let's see. Oh no! Yeah, dodge into your slash. Slash back! Take that, punk. There we go. Wolverine's getting the hang of it. Even though he still doesn't have his hair slash head slash however that makes sense. For some reason I've decided I'm going to go try and fight the one in the corner. Even though I probably should go back to the other place, because if I die here this is going to be sad for the souls I have, but whatever. Great, and they can dodge too. Nice. Well, it's slow and not very exciting, but yeah, I'll take that. No Covenant of Artorias. Not even gonna try. Not even gonna think about trying that. So let's see. I'm on a roll, and I've got 2 left. Should I? Yeah, let's do it. Let's try and take these guys on. This whole group. So hopefully this just aggroes that one, and I don't have to fight 2 of them. Well, let's find out what happens. Buying Titanite chunks. Is there a place? I don't remember. Okay, well, let's see what happens here. Lured him out. Ooh. And I'm just going to go ahead, and he's going to hit me again, so that's basically a waste. Alright, well. No goo. No goo, monster. Fire. Gotta take this. Yeah. So that happened, and now this is gonna happen. I've spent enough time down here. Okay. 3 minutes kill the gargoyles. I'm almost certain that's not going to happen. But what is going to happen is I'm going to increase my weapons. Just like Justin had here. Alright, let's see. So, I upped both of them. So let's see, we've got these two. So 3 to do that. Not nearly enough. 1. Oh, already. Ooh, I need a Titanite slab. That's easy to get. You know what? We're doing this. We're doing this. Probably shouldn't waste them, but doesn't matter. I'm going to do it. Don't believe I have gone back there with this character. No crush shield. Yeah, I have not. That's fine. I'm doing it now. Pretty sure I'm more than tough enough to do this. No question is, can I fight the, what do they call it? Let's see, so how's the damage go? Up 4, up 4. I'll take it. Yeah, the real question is whether I can even bother to take the, what are they called? The Black Knights down there, at least in the narrow spaces. I suppose with sufficient dodging, doesn't really matter. But let's find out. So, once again, distraction again. But get that Titanite slab, which should be pretty easy even without a block. So far, it seems like in Remastered, they've made the blast radius on the Asylum Demons boom quite nicer to deal with, and the behavior doesn't seem like it corrects quite as much as it used to. It used to correct quite a bit at like the last second, both in terms of its tail attack and its magic attack, which made it kind of annoying if you're trying to be like, when it starts magic attack, you want to get to a nice position, and then get yourself to safety. Hi guys. Should I kill them now? I think they're worth less souls if I do that. I'm not sure. What was I doing? Oh, I've completely forgot what I was doing while as I was talking. Let's go back. Nope. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Alright. Oh, wait. Have I not even... Yeah. Nope, nope, I haven't. Okay. Well, that happens. Whee. In retrospect, I'm now realizing, you know, I'm 2 hours into this one, and compared to the last session where I seemed to explain a lot about what I was doing, instead here I've just been hopping around. But again, this is more of just like trying to create that whole... the catalog. I mean, I'm experimenting with streaming, experimenting with rambling into a microphone, for better or for worse. But it is what it is, although now I'll have a Wolverine made in case people are curious. Want to see it, want to fight it, want to beat it, because it's going to be easy to beat it. Not that I'm the worst player in the world, but it's not a great build, especially for PvP. Let's see, the broadcast has started. To stop the broadcast, press the start. Share. The Share E button. Then select broadcast settings. Is that what it actually shows on screen? Oh, cool. It doesn't show that on the screen on the game. That's fine. So what would it be like? Now I'm trying to like imagine this. It's like in this Let's Play world and streaming video games, and I should have gotten the stuff for Titanite shards and Demon Titanite and stuff, but I don't really care. Bye bye both of you. Yes. But what was I saying? Yeah, but like what it would be like to play a game that has like secrets, like in Dark Souls. If it was just like, oh yeah, you know, you go up here, this is exactly what happens 'cause you can see it. I suppose that's less efficient than, you know, actually just looking up explicitly what to do and then doing that. So maybe, actually not maybe, it is just kind of a moot point, but I guess it's as someone here experiencing it, it's like weird to think about, well, I could share that, including what's going on. Because like as a kid, you know, it's not how video games work. It's not how... Let's see. Twice in the butt, still alive? Nope. Okay. There we go. But yeah, I mean, so this is how you get to there. You don't need that key, you just need to come back and do it, so you just need that elevator. But there's basically just a handful of useful key items here to be had, and one boss. So there's some red titanite chunks you can get from those guys, and he's gonna hit me a bunch, but I'm gonna kill him first. Yeah, okay, he didn't even hit me. So a bunch was an exaggeration. Crest shield, good magic defense shield. That's just how it goes. Whoop. Let's see. Okay, actually, I think what I'm going to do is end this sooner rather than later. I'm just going to get that titanite slab and then use it, and then that'll be it. So actually, we're almost done here, team. Guess I need to get the painted thing, but yeah, so crest shields here. You get some red titanite, which if you use fire weapons, that's useful. Rusted iron ring here. Useful for walking. What that does is it makes it so that you don't get... So like, for instance, I was never going to try and fight the Titanite demons at the bottom of Sin's Fortress without it, because it would just be a nightmare. Then down here you will get a special weird doll, and that doll will be useful for getting to a secret place later. Again, not really level locked. I mean, if you want, especially in terms of running and grabbing these keys, it's very doable at extremely low level if you don't know what's going on. But usually by the time you sort of figure out how to play this game, it's not that big a deal to use a character to take these out. Can I build up enough bleed to do that? Nope. There you go. See, he hit me. I hit him. He dies. That's how it goes. Peculiar doll. So now, just gotta go kill the asylum demon. That asylum demon. That one right there. And that's gonna be it for now. Should I get to... Oh, I'm gonna run. That's good, so I might as well. Oh, I forgot to rest. Oh, well. Let's see what happens. Just gonna film this. No, it's not. Quite. Let's see. So this guy, part of why I said not a big deal is even though I don't have high damage, this guy's very weak to bleed, so he's gonna get just... Well, this is annoying though. Oh, maybe he just get stuck in this corner. I don't know, but... See, I'm already at... Okay, I guess he just wants to do the same thing. It's working well enough. Well, that was just what we call luck. Keep going back to that whole thing of like rolling a d20. Didn't really feel that rewarding for me to sit there and be like, well, I made a stupid move and I didn't die because of it. So that was me tanking. That was me being like, nope, the right choice right here is to just keep slashing. getting not hit by that second attack was that thing missing me, which it usually doesn't, but it did. So yeah. So let's see. I'll just save Honor Orlando and all that magic for later. But I guess now it seems like I have my damage up high enough that I can do a bit more than I was expecting. So, the moment... Wait, what? What? Wait, what? That guy has a Titanite slab. That's how you get a Titanite slab. Did it not give me a... Okay. Okay. Yeah. That guy was supposed to give me a Titanite slab. Is it possible that he doesn't drop it? Is it possible I forgot to pick it up? It is possible that I forgot to pick it up in my excitement. Phew. So, climb up. Ooh, so excited. The moment is coming. Is it going to happen? Yes, it's about to happen. Alright, let's try this again. Plus 14. Plus 15. Nice. Yay, I have strongest weapon. I haven't done that with a character in this game yet. Okay, fine. That's fine. How much does it go? 4. 4 at a time. Is that worth it to keep pumping? I'm at level 40. I'm going to want these up yet. Might as well just get the dex all the way up there. Get up to 43. Repair the remaining pieces of equipment. I don't even have the armor box, so I can't check if I could level that up. I guess, since I'm here, what do we got? We got... which I did before. Oh, what is it? Look skyward. What's that look like? Shrug. Hey, Friday, the 13th updated. Cool. Shrug? Should it be a shrug? Hurrah? Is that what we want to do? Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. Boy, well, thank you for everyone who's not watching. Have a great day. Oh, whoa, what's happening? Stop that. Stop. How do I stop? There we go.